What's up YouTube? I'm Adrian Thompson. Today we're going to do a little bit different of a video. So far I've done mostly topical videos where I pick a topic and rant about it for 10 to 15 minutes, giving as many tips as I can. Today I figured it'd be easier to do a reaction video to somebody with a similar salary as mine.
She lives the life.
If you guys haven't seen it yet, there's a YouTube channel called Glamour. On this channel, they have a YouTube series called Honest Accounts. What they do is they block out the head of somebody and they go through what somebody makes and what they end up spending their money on. So I thought it would be a good idea for today to react to one of these videos. Today, what we're going to look at is somebody living in New York City. She's 25 years old, making $80,000. Somebody who's 24 years old, living in a big city since I'm in Atlanta, roughly making the same amount of money. I thought this would be a good video to react to since I'll know roughly what she should be spending her money on. So before we dive right into it, if you like this channel, if you like this video, go ahead and like and subscribe. It really helps out the channel. So let's go.
I'm a senior analyst at an advertising company in New York City, and I make $80,000 a year.
First things first, she's 25 years old, living in New York City. We know New York City is a high cost of living area. One of the main reasons I wanted to move to Atlanta is specifically it's a great city where the cost of living really isn't so high, right? But you also get the big city vibes. So I'm gonna go to an online calculator. There's plenty online, just Google it. I'm gonna put in how much I make in Atlanta and see how much I would need to make in New York to live the same type of lifestyle. Like I said before, I make $72,000 in Atlanta. If she lives in Brooklyn, New York, that's going to be $127,000 a year. That's going to be the equivalent of making $72,000 in Atlanta. That's why you always got to be careful when people say, oh, I make six figures. You always need to know where they're living at, because if they live in a big city in California, in New York, that really comes out to be nothing. So let's flip it. She makes $80,000 in New York. If she wanted to move to Atlanta, she could probably ask for the same amount of money, but let's say she couldn't. All she would need to make is $45,000 in Atlanta in order to live the same way she's living in New York. So let's get back in the video.
I have about $21,000 in savings. That's about $9,200 in my 401k, $5,000 in my Roth IRA, $5,500 in my savings account, and a little over $1,000 in my investment fund.
I actually can't really complain about this. $9.2 thousand for a 25-year-old is pretty good in your 401k. The fact that she's basically, it looks like she's pretty much maxing out her Roth IRA for the year, or it might have been she's put $2,000 in since she's graduated college for each year. The savings account is at $5.5 thousand. Obviously, I don't know her debt, but if that's where she's sitting in that's probably going to be roughly 3 months of expenses. So can't really complain about that. So far, 1.3 in the investment fund. That's pretty solid work.
After taxes, my take home is about $4,130 a month. I spend $825 on rent.
For New York, $825 in rent's pretty good. I mean, that's pretty solid. She has 2 roommates. In Atlanta, I'm going to have 4 roommates next year. We're going to get a big house together, but we're only going to pay like $300 a month. So, but $825 in New York, that's the great way to do it. What you'll see is a lot of people who make $80,000 will put $2,000 to rent because they want to live by themselves. It just doesn't make any sense. I have a roommate here in Atlanta.
I have 2 roommates, so we split the cost. About $500 on utilities, $185 on monthly subscriptions, $400 on student loans, $220 on a dental loan.
So $500 on utilities kind of seems like a lot. You know, if she was paying that by herself, that's one thing, but she says she had 2 roommates. $1,500 on utilities just seemed kind of high. The subscriptions are $185. That's definitely too much. I think the only subscriptions I have are Spotify, Audible, and my gym membership. So if you're looking at what I do, one of them is going to be personal development with Audible. The second one's personal development when it comes to the gym membership. And I pay $10 a month for music, so I'm fine with that. That's not a big cost. But if you look at hers, Netflix, fine, I'll understand that. ClassPass and the gym, pick one or the other. You don't need both. A lot of gyms have free classes already, and if you don't like their classes, don't get the gym membership, just get the ClassPass. Honestly, with Birchbox, I know they send you makeup. That might be worth it because women's makeup seems expensive. I have no clue. I know my girlfriend spends a crap ton of money on makeup and she doesn't even wear that much. So that might actually be beneficial. Movie Pass at the time was a steal, especially if you go see movies, but I'm pretty sure they went under. And the Fabletics, I wouldn't even get that because you shouldn't be buying that many, athleisure clothes to begin with. You should just get 3 or 4 items and just wear and rewear those. So basically all I'm saying is Netflix and MoviePass doesn't really make sense. ClassPass and Gym together doesn't really make sense. And Birchbox and Fabletics together doesn't really make sense. It seems like we could half that number from 185 to 90. So that's my only critique right there.
$400 on student loans, $220 on a dental loan because I have really good luck. Last year I found out I needed 2 root canals, and that's really, really expensive. So I had to take out a $2,000 loan, and hopefully I should pay it off by January. And $500 towards savings.
Like I said before, savings is at $5,500. This is where my issue comes into place, right? So if your savings is at $5,500, I'm interested to see how much money you have in student loans, because it seems like you could bring that number back and go ahead and kill off your student loans or some of your student loans. So she took out a $2,000 loan to pay for her root canals, but she has $5,500 in savings. That's something I don't understand. Don't take on debt that has an interest rate if you can just pay it out of your savings account, right? I'm not saying pull out your 401k, your Roth IRA, but if you have it sitting in a savings account, and I'm hoping you have a high yield savings account, just go ahead and pay the $2,000 and then rebuild your savings account and save yourself that personal loan interest. Typically, your personal loan interest rates are kind of higher anyway, so it should be easy just to go ahead and pay that one lump sum.
January. And $500 towards savings. That leaves me $1,950 to spend. So a lot of my budget is spent traveling back home to Colombia. It kind of puts everything into perspective as to how cheap things are there in comparison to New York City, for example. So whenever I go, I definitely feel like I can kind of ball out.
Yeah, I'm gonna see. Here's my thing. So $1,950 to spend, and that's after rent and utilities. That's way too much money that you are spending every single month. I would flip those numbers to where you have $500 to spend and $1,950 to put in your savings, because that's roughly, I save roughly $1,800 a month, and we make roughly the same amount. So I would flip those numbers. You shouldn't be spending that much money. Maybe in New York, since it's more expensive, bump it up to $800 or $900 and then save the rest, but you should be saving at least $1,000 a month.
Here's my last credit card bill. So I don't really use this card that much, but it's connected to a few of my accounts. Uber, $926, Apple iTunes, $1197, Seamless, $53.84, ClassPass, $47.03. I believe I get 27 credits now, so that should get me like 3 to 4 classes a month.
Think about it like this with ClassPass, $47 for the month that you're paying for, and you only get 3 to 4 classes, where I go to the gym 5 times a week for $40 a month, and it's 24/7. I can go whenever I want to, do whatever I want to do. And it's New York, so I know there's plenty of gyms. I just don't understand ClassPass. I don't.
So this is the main card I use mainly because it has better reward benefits. I most recently booked my flights to Mexico, to and from Mexico, all points. They had a great signing bonus, so that kind of paid for most of that trip. Should I dive in? A frequent purchase of mine is definitely drinks. I do like to go out, and usually that ends up happening at bars or brunch. So I do sort of spend often on drinks.
Yeah, dude, drinking. I've cut drinking out pretty much. Like, I still drink, but it's, your cheap bottle of wine maybe once every 2 weeks or whatever. If I go out to a Mexican place, I love margaritas. But outside of that, it's like, when you go out and drink, you pretty much kill your next day. You're out $50. You probably, if you drink enough, you don't even remember that night, So it's something I realized since graduating college, that drinking is just something, the more I cut out, the better the rest of the areas of my life gets. And I still see my friends. I still talk to them all the time. I don't know, just especially in New York with like how much drinks are there, I would just try to cut that out. You're going to find yourself getting $200-300 more a month to spend.
Another frequent purchase is restaurants. I love to eat out. New York City is a perfect city for that, and there's always something new to try. So you can usually find me at a restaurant on a Friday night.
See, here's the thing. Groceries in New York, I feel like, are not more expensive, right? I mean, I've been to different cities, different states, and groceries tend to be roughly the same amount everywhere you go. $276 just on eating out. That's probably 5-6 meals, especially in New York. And that might be a good estimate on that, right? That's what I spend a month in food altogether. And I eat out, take my girlfriend out, 4 times a month, once a week.
Another frequent purchase of mine is taxis. That was in particular for this month since my parents were visiting, but I do definitely spend quite a bit of money on taxis, Lyfts, Ubers. Even though I don't like to, I do end up doing it quite a bit.
Now, I'm not going to complain about this because from what I've seen so far, she doesn't have a car. So if you don't have a car, you're saving $150 a month, probably insurance alone. You're not paying your car payment. Most car payments, if you are actually trying to pay it off on a decent amount of times, $300 a month. I think that's fine. I actually don't get mad at people if you live in a big city and you're spending $300 a month, paying for Ubers and taxis because you got to get around, right? I will say this. So this is my prediction, and let me know what you guys think. As Tesla is building their self-driving cars and Porsche and everybody's adapting it to their own, like, basically systems, I think there's going to be like a $300 a month subscription that people start signing up for, where a car just comes and picks you up and nobody has cars anymore. I guarantee you, fast forward 15 years, that's what it's going to be.
Shopped Creatives, that's $12.93. Dwayne Reed, $3.19. Sin Igual, New York, $25.91. That's dinner with friends. Albion Ale House, New York, $25. That was part of a bar hop that I did. Avenue C Market, $2.71. 561 Deli Grocery, $15. Dwayne Reed, $25.09. Dwayne Reed, $4.92. CVS Pharmacy, $4.33. Yeah, I guess it's pretty interesting how much money I'm spending at Dwayne Reed and CVS. It's kind of tough to tell what I'm spending that money on.
What is Dwayne Reed? What is Dwayne Reed? What is that? Dwayne Reed? Wait a second. What? Is Dwayne Reed? Is that what they call Walgreens in other places? Or is that just like the specific one in New York? Dwayne Reed? No way. I never knew that. Oh, I guess it's just a pharmacy. I will say this, so CVS and Walgreens and Rite Aid, all of those places, they are a ripoff. Do not shop there. I just got a thing of Advil, right? If I went to Target, got a thing of Advil, it's 500 pills, right? I guess I got a thing of ibuprofen for 500 pills for $18. I paid $9 when my girlfriend was sick for a thing of Advil, and it was like 12 pills. Don't go to CVS, dude. CVS and Walgreens, they make me so angry. I don't even understand. They seem like archaic having such a small store nowadays.
IamFi.co, $33. That was actually a poster that, they hit me with an Instagram ad and I fell for it and I purchased this poster. It's sort of like an abstract poster of a mix between like a Chanel perfume bottle and a pineapple. I still need to hang it up though, so I'm hoping to buy a frame on Amazon soon.
What do you guys think about this? Leave in the comments below, because like Google and everybody sells our data, right? And it's for us to get better products. So my thought is, if it works, right? Like if you actually give me products that will make my life better, let's do it. But I don't think that's what they're doing. I think they're giving me products that I'm more likely to buy, right? And if it doesn't make my life better, I'm just more likely to buy it because it sets me off like hormonally. That's kind of, messed up. But obviously it works. I mean, she just spent $33 buying something I've never heard of. Probably some random crappy poster that's getting delivered straight from China.
Another unusual purchase, signing up for Bocce. NYC Social, $68.99. That is the Bocce League. I take part of the Bocce League here in New York City.
Yeah, so I mean, I just paid $75 to join an indoor soccer team. I think getting out and meeting people, especially something athletic or something in sports, I mean, I'm not going to complain about that. I think that's a good use of your money. Things, in my opinion, are a waste of money, like she just mentioned with that frame. There's not really, you should buy as little things as possible and honestly put your money towards experiences and, social activities. That's me though. You might be different.
PlumBenefits.com, that's $321. One of my most expensive purchases this month. Those are 4 tickets for Phantom of the Opera that I invited my parents to when they were visiting me. Theater refreshment, $14. That was probably 2 bottles of water at the Phantom of the Opera theater. Very expensive.
Paying $321 when your parents come to visit you. Once again, put your money to things that you like. That's not what I'm upset about, right? It's that in the context of something larger. So once again, she didn't mention how much student loans she has. It doesn't make sense to drop $300-400 if you owe somebody else money. Put yourself in the position where you're not wishing you didn't spend $300 on a Broadway play a year ago. Race to that position and you'll get there by 25, 26, right? And then from then on, you can treat your parents to how they should be treated, right?
Essa Bagel, $16.39. Birchbox, $10.89. My Song Kaiser, $12.17. That was probably my favorite cookie in town, which is a white chocolate pistachio cookie. Whole Foods, $8.16. Vitamin Shop, $17.62.
All of this money is building up to that $19.50 that she mentioned earlier in the video. And that's so much. Like, there's no reason why you should be giving yourself that much money to spend, because you're going to spend it, as this video shows, right?
Total charged $2,770.
Dang, dude. So like she said before, she only had $1,950 to spend after savings, after paying her bills, and the total charge here is $2,700, right? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, when you give yourself that much money, you kind of build momentum. You get used to just spending money, and then it's hard to stop. And you're like, I'll just catch up, the next paycheck. So she just overspent by $800. I just did the math. That's not including the rent and everything. So she just overspent by like a whole nother paycheck. So next paycheck, she's going to be behind. And if you do that 2, 3, 4 times in a row, that's how you get into debt, right? And she's lucky she's making a decent amount of money, even for New York. But if you're making $50,000 a year, it's easier to overspend, and it probably takes 2 paychecks of overspending. And now you're living in credit card debt with 23% interest. So that's kind of where I'm worried about in terms of this video.
I think in my attempt to be so budget conscious all the time, it kind of just inherently causes me stress. It's both like what enables me to do everything that I do in my life, but it's also kind of what holds me back sometimes. So it's like a love-hate relationship, but I think I have a positive outlook, so that's kind of the exciting part.
Something I want to say, like, so budgeting to me is, I implore people to try to take their emotions out of it. I know that's easier said than done. I'm lucky to where my natural state is just very logical. So if that's what my budget is, that's what I spend. And that's the starting point of all of my conversations of whether or not I'm going to spend money. The reason why I can't empathize with the stress of budgeting is because I can empathize with the stress of being poor. And I know that is significantly more stressful and a significantly bigger problem. So knowing that budgeting is going to keep me from being in that position makes me happy, right? So it's weird seeing people where they come from. I actually don't think she came from a wealthy family, but I've just noticed from my friends where it's like, oh, you can't just keep spending money because it's not your parents' money. That's when they get stressed. And I get it, because you're decreasing the quality of your life.
I don't think I have any specific retirement goals other than being super rich. But I think we all kind of have that goal in mind, like Meryl Streep, and It's Complicated. It's a great movie. She lives the life.
So this is the end of the video, but she just said she doesn't have specific retirement goals. Like, personally, the way I think you should do it is become debt-free, set your retirement goals. When do you want to retire? How much money do you want to have at the time of retirement every year to pull out? And then you retroactively work backwards into your budget. So if you want to retire at 60 at this age, right, and you want to make $80,000 a year, there's calculators online. You put that in there. That's how much money you need to have. So you need to know right now how much money you should be taking out of your paycheck to put towards retirement. Or if you're behind that goal, you need to work harder, right? Or work smarter and get a better job and put more money of that income into your retirement. Your retirement should be the number one factor after you pay off debt, right? That's just my take on things. You might disagree. If you do disagree, please comment down below. I'm Adrian Thompson. Remember, it may be hard now, but it doesn't always have to be. I'll see you in the next one.